This is Celeste, and this is breaking news on the graphene, hydrogel, and quantum dot application and mechanisms. And it's time for all of us to drill down on these applications and mechanisms of hydrogel as we approach the day of mandatory vaccines and sensory implantation. So we all need to really understand these concepts so that each one of us can make educated, informed, and wise decisions on whether to take the products that will be required by law, and also so that you can offset the consequences in your mind of not taking the controller's mandate. So basically, we're looking at a graphene temple, and imagine a people who have built through technology an impressive global edifice that ends with both the humans and the technology being completely annihilated. If these people were considering a new edifice, they would use state-of-the-art impregnable materials that could withstand anything. These materials are complementary as a communication system, and also they hold magical properties that allow a godlike manifestation in human beings. Commercial production of graphene, which is nature's hexagonal shape, makes the perfect single layer carbon substance for a prefabricated temple, whether that is a stone edifice or a human. So first, we need to address a really confusing topic, and that is, what is the difference between hydrogel and the quantum dots that we're all hearing? So let me explain. The behavior of quantum dots in solution and their interaction with other surfaces is of great importance to biological applications such as optical displays, animal tagging, and remember, in the global governance system, we are considered animals. Anti-counterfeiting dyes and paints, basically that is the patenting of a human being who has taken the mark of his owner. Chemical sensing and fluorescent tagging, as what we've seen in genetic modification, GMO foods. They started out putting jellyfish fluorescent tagging in to see if when they altered a species, if it would carry on to the next generation. However, unmodified quantum dots tend to be hydrophobic, which means they don't like water, which precludes their use in stable water-based colloids, such as in the human body. Once solutionized by encapsulation, either by hydrophobic interior mycelium or hydrophilic exterior mycelium, the quantum dots can be successfully introduced into an aqueous medium, hence the gelatinous medium that we're going to talk about in a few moments, in which they form an extended hydrogel network. So basically, the quantum dots are part of the hydrogel network. In this form, quantum dots can be utilized in several applications that benefit from their unique properties. This is how the quantum dots work, hand in hand, whether in a vaccine or a separate sensory application. Both quantum dots and the hydrogel contain graphene, and as we move forward, most of the hydrogel and the quantum dots will include the graphene. I am going to provide my talking points for my patrons exclusively as they support my research and investigations on topics such as these. So now we're going to go into the preparation, the proper properties, and the applications of graphene-based hydrogels. So as a new carbon-based nanomaterial, graphene has exhibited unique advantages in significantly improving the combination properties of traditional polymer hydrogels. The specific properties of graphene, such as a high electrical conductivity, high thermal conductivity, and excellent mechanical properties, have made graphene not only a gelator to self-assemble into graphene-based hydrogels, which the acronym for that is GBH, with an extraordinary electromechanical performance, but also as a filler to blend with small molecules and macromolecules for the preparation of multifunctional graphene-based hydrogels. People allowing hydrogel into their bodies are hybridizing their body, basically shape-shifting it into a biological robot. The hydrogel filler acts as a glue within your body to network with artificial intelligence as a computer interface, and you are being reduced to a node in the Internet of Things. Technology fully exploits the practical applications of traditional hydrogels. This review summarizes the preparation methods, the properties, and the application of graphene-based hydrogels. Further developments and challenges are expected in the future. So I'm going to do a little introduction here. So graphene is a new nanomaterial with strict two-dimensional layer structure. And in the talking points, I do include the studies so that you can look this up on your own. With excellent mechanical, highly electrical, and thermal properties, graphene is the ideal filler for polymer-based nanocomposites. Your body becomes a living polymer, a substance that has a molecular structure consisting chiefly or entirely of large number of synthetic organic materials that are used in plastics and resins that will eventually replace your DNA, your blood, your cells, your tissues, and your organs as the hydrogel nanoparticles self-assemble. Think of this as an invisible invasion transforming you from a human to a synthetic entity known as synbio. Hydrogel is a moderate, cross-linked, and branched polymer with three-dimensional network structures. That means that it will fill every crack and crevice of your body. There will be nothing hidden or safe that it does not invade. Hydrogel has the ability to absorb large quantities of water, and it swells quickly. It is soft, it is elastic, and biologically compatible. Your body will not reject this invasion because it does not see it as an enemy or being hostile to your humanity. As it absorbs the water, your body will wither and it will become sickly. And like a rubber band stretched to its maximum, you are going to break physically, mentally, and spiritually. Graphene has exhibited unique advantages in significantly improving the combination properties of traditional polymer hydrogels. Graphene also has magical and conductive qualities, making your body and your mind a receptor for any message that the controllers want to embed. Graphene in hydrogel plays two roles: the gelator to self-assemble into the hydrogels, and the filler to blend with small molecules and macromolecules for the preparation of multifunctional, get that, multifunctional hydrogels, which are collectively called graphene-based hydrogels. Scientists and researchers are using the self-assembling gelator to create a synthetic scaffold system inside your body, while the filler replaces your human parts with artificial ones that are predisposed to a collective or global fascist order. Now we're going to move on to the preparation methods and properties, and we're first going to talk about the self-assembly method. Self-assembly method means that the basic structure of the graphene oxide is spontaneously translated into a 3D graphene structure under the interaction of the non-covalent bond. What this means is that the self-assembly process is spontaneous or instantaneous, and you become bonded to the network system. Your human bonding that you naturally have in your body is replaced. The electrical conductivity of the graphene-based hydrogel is greater several orders than the traditional hydrogels. With each successive generation of hydrogels, the electrical conductivity becomes greater, meaning that your body and your mind will respond to the applied electrical currents, and you become a mandatory transmitter that transmits essential information about your body and mind to government and spiritual controllers. The 3D multifunctional graphene-based hydrogel, which was self-assembled by combining DNA and the graphene sheets, possesses good mechanical properties, big dye absorption capacity, and an excellent self-cure capacity. Do not think that hydrogel does not alter your DNA, for it does. And someday it is going to replace the DNA for anyone allowing hydrogel to enter their body for any reason. As this description highlights, your body becomes a mechanical slave, no different than a synth. Dye absorption is critical as dyes are primarily chemicals. And that's the first part of the CBURN acronym, chemicals, that the controllers desire that should you reproduce, that you would carry the hydrogel to the next generation, or basically your offspring. This absorption also exponentially increases the strength of any chemical, such as any medications or chemicals that you would be given or taken. And lastly, you become a self-contained, self-healing unit, no longer putting a burden on the overly taxed medical system. The spiritual ramifications are you become as a god, as you no longer have need for a savior for healing. We're going to move on now quickly to the mixed solution method. So the graphene is in a gelatin hydrogel composite, which is fabricated by mixing graphene and gelatin, much like Jello in your cupboard. The sulfonated graphene, and I'm not even going to do the technical name, it's like a vinyl alcohol hydrogel, which is made by a mixed solution, shows good mechanical properties and intelligent absorption properties for cationic dyes compared to ordinary pure hydrogel. You can clearly see that during this process, intelligent alien entities enter your body and they begin to set up shop. Now we're going to discuss in situ polymerization. As a joint result of the mixed graphene, which is a monomer polymer initiating agent, and other additives under certain conditions, in situ polymerization of monomer polymer occurs on the surface of the graphene, which leads to a final graphene polymer composite hydrogel. This kind of reminds me of the image in the book of Daniel. You become a new image, barely resembling your former human self, but you rather take on hybrid characteristics. Such graphene polymer composite hydrogels possess favorable dispersibility of the graphene and uniform performance within your body. Uniformity is the name of the game, and as hydrogel dispenses throughout your body. The composite hydrogel is synthesized via cross-linking reaction of the PAA at low temperatures. The composite material displayed more excellent swelling characteristics and electrical responses than pure PAA hydrogel. That's a tongue twister. What will be the effect of this low temperature concoction and its swelling capability? As water is not a good electrical conductor, this swelling must occur from the synthetic graphene that is assembling and growing within your body as it channels electrical signals from the controllers with your body transmitting your every vital process and thought back to the hive. The tensile strength of this graphene PAM hydrogel is about 4.5 times higher than pure PAM hydrogel, and the breaking elongation was 30 times that of a PAM hydrogel. As a part of the hydrogel transformation process, you almost become a superhero or a god or goddess because you literally become tough as nails in an artificial way. The hydrogel has the ability to self-heal when the fracture surfaces have maintained contact at low temperature or even room temperature for short periods of time. The recovery rate of hydrogel can reach a whopping 88% prolonged healing time. The only healing that is somewhat thwarted, as we shall see momentarily, is chronically diseased parts of your body that have a more difficult time self-healing, at least at this point. Now we're moving on to the applications. The excellent performance of graphene-based hydrogel is based on the inseparable synergy between hydrophobicity and the pi conjugated structure in the graphene sheets that it is forming inside the body. The graphene-based hydrogel integrates that mechanical strength, the electrical conductivity, the absorption, the hydroscopicity, the water retention, the controlled release, and biocompatibility altogether. Your body and mind become one with artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things, with broad application prospect in biomedical, supercapacitor, water treatment. Yes, we're going to discuss that in a minute. Dye absorption, a catalyst carrier, and intelligent response for microfluidic systems. It is important to note that the application of bi-conjugated structure is discussed in global circles as novel geometries with magical properties. And we'll look at figure 1 that you'll see on the screen. Moving on to the biomaterials in the biomedical field. So a water-rich graphene-based hydrogel is similar to our natural soft tissues. In addition to the high conductivity, good mechanical strength, favorable biocompatibility in a non-covalent bond between graphene and some polymer, oftentimes it's chitosan, which is, the acronym is CS. The polygraphene-based hydrogels are attracted with much attention in tissue engineering. This one scientist studied muscle-inspired graphene composite hydrogels, which he prepared by incorporating a protein called polydopamine. The strong tissue engineered hydrogel is not benign. It was inspired by the properties of this shellfish-like muscles, or it's a shellfish-like armor or shell. Your body actually develops a hard shell inside and out. This comes from the hydrogel additive chitosan. Chitosan is a type of fiber taken from the exoskeleton of insects and the shells of crustaceans such as shrimp, lobsters, and clams. In addition, the hydrogel messes with your brain by incorporating this polydopamine protein that is a versatile coating that can be used to cover the surface of almost all materials with a conformal layer of adjustable thickness. Just imagine your brain being coated by this hydrogel. And there are different other technologies that are going to allow this hydrogel to pass the blood-brain barrier. So the graphene hydrogel has the potential to increase cellular activity and proliferation of human enhancers of filamentation. These are the artificial binds that tether you to the network. These are like the chains that bind you together to the network. To bind means to permit an undisputable authority into your body and mind. And you need to come think about, do I consider global governance to be my indisputable authority in my life, and give them unfettered access to my body and mind? We have to ask these questions. So intelligent graphene-based hydrogels are prepared with the graphene and a stimuli-responsive polymer that has shown attractive prospects in drug control release systems on account of the huge specific area of graphene. In essence, you become a canvas for the pharmaceutical artists to create a synthetic artistic masterpiece subservient to the alien system, not resembling anything human-like whatsoever. The aliens are the masters and you do their bidding. As mentioned, hydrogels display a significant acceleration of healing with a hydrogel in the treatment of artificial wounds in rats. Right now they're just doing it in rats. More importantly, this composite hydrogel was used to facilitate complete reconstruction of healing in 15 days. According to the Bible, the number 15 is considered not only to be the symbol of rest, but also the symbol of restoration, healing, and deliverance. This number is the symbol of redemption and sacrifice. By taking the hydrogel sensor, what happens is one is substituting the biblical sacrificial system, whether you believe in the animal sacrifice or the sacrifice of Jesus, with a nefarious deity that is all-consuming in wickedness. Researchers found that 84% of vitamin B12 molecules can be diffused from hydrogel into the neural solution after 42 hours, which is less than 2 days. And I'm not sure of the significance of this currently, but vitamin B12 is a real powerful energy. It affects our mind. There's a lot of different things, but I don't know. I've not seen any studies yet of why they are targeting the B12. The graphene-based hydrogel can efficiently capture cells, but they can also release cells on the stimulus of NIR light. That's near infrared light, which is similar to red light therapy, except infrared energy is invisible and it penetrates the body deeper than red light, and it reaches into the soft tissues, the muscles and the joints and the bones. And so they're going to capture our cells, or those that take the hydrogel, by this infrared light. The take home on this is that a foreign army is capturing your cells for whatever use they may desire. They could also potentially release bad cells to invade your body, resulting in the termination of your biological life. As a supercapacitor, as the major electrochemical components for energy storage and release, supercapacitor should possess high specific capacitance, big reversible capacity, and a long cycle life. Graphene-based hydrogels can be used as an innovative electrode material for a supercapacitor because of their unique surface structures and excellent conductive properties. The energy that your body produces becomes harvestable for use by the collective to obtain their objectives. One might envision a day where the energy produced by your body will be forbidden from use by yourself for purposes of maintaining life, and could potentially be mandated as a sacrifice for the common good. And that may sound far-fetched, but we're going to be talking about it in just a few moments. It gets even more horrifying. Hang on. So water treatment. The rapid development of the petrochemical industry leads to a large number of industrial wastewater, which contains significant amounts of acid, alkali salts, organic solvents, harmful dyes, and heavy metal ions. Hydrogel owns good hydrophilicity. At the same time, it will not dissolve in water. The unique 3D cross-linked network structure makes hydrogel an effective absorption to high amounts of chemicals. The absorbent abilities and the selectivity of hydrogel can further be improved by the huge specific surface area and electronegativity of graphene. Therefore, hydrogel has shown a perfect foreground applied in sewage treatment and dye absorption. In this day and age of post-human ideology and environmental obsession, hydrogel is the perfect application to turn a human body into a pollution-absorbing machine to cleanse the environment of the pollution. A hydrogel body also attracts every toxic substance to humans, such as the acid, salts, solvents, dyes, organic pollutants, and heavy metals, and they come flooding into your body. Now we're going to look at the 3D graphene scaffolds that they are talking about rebuilding your body. So in the last decade, graphene and its derivatives have been explored as novel biomaterials for scaffolds within your body. The 3D graphene-based materials are currently used to generate complex structures able not only to guide cell alignment and fusion. That's, remember I talked about when the hydrogel gets into your body, it fuses with your cells, your ligaments, your bones and everything, and it becomes one with you and you become one with the internet and artificial intelligence. But it can also stimulate your body thanks to its electrical conductivity. Graphene is an allotrope of carbon, and it has a unique mechanical, electrical, and surface properties that have been functionalized to interact with a wide range of synthetic and natural polymers resembling native tissues. That's your normal body tissues, but its natural habitat, what it likes to gravitate, are to the synthetics. Graphene can stimulate stem cell differentiation and has been studied for cardiac, neuronal, that's your nervous system, bones, skin, adipose, that's your fat, cartilage tissue regeneration. So those are the areas that they may approach you other than a sensory and say, oh, you need to get your heart fixed. Just take this little hydrogel and it's going to fix that hole in your heart. And you might want to think twice about that in the future. So there is quite a bit of interest in future research on multifunctional graphene implants. And you need to know that this is, you may be approached if you need a knee surgery, if you need, like I mentioned, a heart surgery. So methods of this include to generate and genetically manipulate the stem cells through the graphene, advances in biofabrication technology, which includes 3D bioprinting. The day is coming when you may get a 3D bioprinted organ or skin or something like that, and innovations of biomimicry biomaterials. And these are the three pillars of the modern tissue engineering research. The bidimensional flake of carbon, graphene, represents undoubtedly the most revolutionary material of the last decade. Graphene has a hexagonal lattice structure of a sp2 hybridized carbon atom and is extremely thin. And as we mentioned, it is electrically and thermally conducive and mechanically resistant and light it absorbs light. Its derivative, the graphene oxide, has oxygen functional groups decorating the carbon plane. I don't like the fact about that it intertwines with our ability to absorb oxygen. Graphene is exploited in medicine due to its water dispersibility. Pristine graphene is highly hydrophobic and tends to precipitate in biological media. Hydrophobic is anti-water, which is needed for all biological carbon life forms. Graphene-based materials have been studied for several applications in biomedicine due to their unique interactions with proteins and molecules. Proteins that can mediate interactions with cells, bacteria, and therapeutic compounds, drugs, that can be delivered via graphene nanoflakes. When the hydrogel is uptake into your body, it not only modifies the human body, but also the interaction with other life forms in your body, such as bacteria, viruses, and fungi. 3D graphene scaffolds have been designed from hydrogels to electrospun graphene fibers and 3D graphene scaffolds. So you might be wondering, what is electrospinning? It is, just like a spider, this electrospinning is a fiber production method which uses electric forces to draw charged threads of polymer solutions or polymer melt-ups that are very small, down to the hundredths of a nanometer size. And so they're literally, as this hydrogel goes throughout your body, it's networking, almost like your blood system, your veins, your capillaries, and it's just networking all over. Or you can imagine like a spider web. It's basically kind of doing that. So the graphene-based materials have been largely 3D or bioprinted. That's important to know. And researchers foresee that graphene will have multifunctional scaffolds, which will represent the future of myoregeneration based on 3D scaffolds. That is regenerating the human body, or self-heal, basically put in a nutshell. So these graphene composites for 3D scaffolds are usually synthesized by combining the graphene and a synthetic or natural polymer. The synthetic polymers are precisely mechanical and chemically controlled, but degradation into byproducts and the inflammatory responses might occur in response to this kind of material. So although your body does not recognize the hydrogel as a foreign invader, you might get an inflammatory response from allowing hydrogel into your body, and you need to brace yourself for that. Embedded within is a protective protein corona. Isn't that interesting in the days of coronavirus? That mitigates an in vivo foreign response. So hydrogel creates this protective protein corona, kind of like the shell of a crustacean. So one must wonder if the coronavirus is part of the preliminary process to morph humans into these synbio entities. It's very interesting that they are using citric acid, which is vitamin C, and a sugar graphene, which is PCEG composite, that has been produced and tested in vivo in rats, that is biodegradable and electrically conductive scaffolds. It builds these scaffolds in the rats. After subcutaneous implantation in the rats, there was a lack of immunoreaction and a good capillary formation in the skeletal muscle lesions. So what they were doing is they had these mice, and they made a muscle lesion. And what they were trying to do is add these implants, these graphene implants, to see if they could replace that tissue. And it did work, as they noted. So the graphene foams. Graphene foams are 3D architectures consisting of interconnected, lightweight, continuous network of graphene sheets that have been used as an effective reinforcing agent in composites for biomedical and electronics. Demonstrated that nickel graphene foams can induce myotube formation. And if the C2, C12 cells are seated on it, especially if the foam is coated with laminin, you're going to hear a lot about seeding in the days to come from the medical, extraterrestrial, geopolitical, and even social engineers, as well as other sectors. Everyone, the new buzzword for this season is seeding. Compared to C2, C12 cells cultured on a planar graphene, the foams exhibited higher cell and myotube densities and also have been successfully used in electrical stimulation and induction of contraction of myotubes. Foams have been also produced by adding graphene to polyurethane with a spontaneous myogenic differentiation of myoblasts ascribed to a synergistic effect of the graphene to the community effect was observed. This effect occurs when cells grown in the interconnected graphene foam pores have an augmented communication among the neighboring cells, cell-to-cell scaffold interactions. Understand these foams have been approved by global governance as a euthanization device. Now we're going to move on to the graphene topographies and the electrospun graphene fibers. So several bioengineering techniques aim to mimic the microenvironment topography features, such as ripples and wrinkles that occur in the contacts of cell adhesion and can enhance, once again, enhance, which means better than God, stem cell differentiation, creating, if you were, an alien landscape within your body. Graphene can modify micro and nano features of 3D scaffolds. For example, the introduction of graphene hydrogel is used to increase surface roughness. Nano topographies can be added to surfaces of graphene containing scaffolds, although through laser printing by exploiting light absorption properties of graphene, used to femtosecond laser ablation on hydrogels. And what that means, I do not have a clue. I am not sure the translation of this concept, other than the hydrogel scaffolds have unique light properties that natural life does not possess. These hydrogel implants are biocompatible in vivo and didn't cause recruitment of inflammation cells. Now see, in some studies they say that when you put hydrogel in the body there is inflammation, and some studies are saying that it did not create inflammation, and I don't know what the difference is. So electrospinning is the versatile technique to produce polymer nanofibers forming 3D scaffolds and to replicate aligned tissue architecture. Electrospinning is performed when the electric force of the mother liquid, remember we're in Gaia land here, surface exceeds the surface tension and initiates an electric spark, provoking the solution to be ejected from the syringe. And as the jet flows, the nanofiber is produced, kind of like when a spider is spinning its web, it comes out, it jets out. But it's interesting that it's counterfeit to how when we are conceived, there's a spark of light, and there's, at the time of death, there's also a spark of light. So this is like a counterfeit spark of light that they are creating inside a body that has allowed hydrogel to be implanted. Graphene gained significant interest for electrospinning researchers for its high strength, flexibility, optical transparency, which means that they know that you have it, but nobody else can see it, kind of like the invisible man, and it's highly conductive. Given that we are entering an electrically active environment, from space weather to the geologic changes coming upon the Earth, one can only speculate about the synergy of these conjoining electrical forces. Now we're going to talk about just a moment for 3D printing in tissue research. It is despite 3D printing has been successfully employed for the production of skin, adipose, bone, and cardiac muscle, limited research on skeletal muscles has been undertaken. So this one researcher created an integrated tissue organ, printed and fabricated 3D muscle construct containing mouse myoblasts. After 2 weeks, the retrieved muscle construct showed well-organized muscle as well as nerve and vascularization, which means it had a blood supply. And this hydrogel construct was able to generate a fully mature muscle-like tissue. And like I said, that happened in 2 weeks, 14 days combination. This says 2 weeks, but the other studies say 15 days. Now we're going to look at the bioprinted muscle that you see on the screen, because it clearly discusses the sacrificial nature of the hydrogel. And I'm just going to read this, just a few things, and for, those of you that are patrons can look at it in greater depth. The A is the fiber bundle structure for muscle organization with PCL pillars, which are the green, used to maintain the structure and to induce cell alignment. B is the visualized motion program for the 3D printing muscle construct. The lines of green, white, and blue indicate the dispensing path of the PCL, which is the cell-laden hydrogel and the sacrificial material, respectively. C is the 3D patterning outcome of the designed muscle organization before and after removing the sacrificial material. So I'll let you just read on about that, because I think that's pretty interesting revelation there. So the researchers had a brief discussion, and they focused on the 3D structure, since these kinds of architecture recapitulate the native tissue, that's our body, normal body tissue, inducing the expression of key myogenic modulators, parallel growth of muscle fibers, and a correct organization of cytoskeleton and cell junctions, increasing the community effect. This is kind of like Hillary Clinton's "it takes a village to raise a child." This is the biological. This is that very dangerous ideology applied to the physical body. Interestingly, 3D printing of graphene based hydrogels has not been exploited for myogenesis, despite graphene inks and filaments that are available. Graphene can be used for their electronic properties and have indeed been employed to create multifunctional, stretchable, and transparent devices that are implantable in vivo for electrostimulation and continuous monitoring. Get that? They're multifunctional, stretchable, transparent devices implantable in vivo for electrostimulation and continuous monitoring of your body and your mind. Toxicity evaluation is made difficult by the infinite combinations of dose, shape, surface chemistry, exposure route, and the purity of the graphenes used. And I would say that this is the same problem that we're dealing with looking for a vaccine for the coronavirus that comes from many different animals, different viruses, and a few other specialty items. So it's an infinite combination. So finding a vaccine to counter it is impossible. So there is another thing at work. Future in vivo studies should foresee a strict application of guidelines to standardize the quality of toxicity evaluation. Of course, that's not going to happen because this is a post-human world, and part of getting humans to take the hydrogel is for their depopulation or eradication. These are the reasons that you should critically think about uptaking hydrogel into your body. The ramifications of allowing hydrogel are vast and damaging. What we discussed today are only the known applications and processes, as hydrogel is a relatively new system and nobody knows the long-term or the long-range toll to the human body that hydrogel possesses. So thank you for your time, and please take a serious consideration of these points as you make the difficult decisions that you need to make, whether you're going to comply with this mandate to take quantum dots and hydrogel into your body.